two of the recipients for that. We think maybe Hannah may end up joining us. We're missing her today, but my goodness, with the volatility of everything going on in the United States, we completely forgive her if she has forgotten what's going on because it has been a wild, bumpy ride. But what better place and time to be celebrating two incredible and distinguished members of our aquaculture family. And so I'm going to start off with, we started this whole program with the Women in Aquaculture Scholarship Fund with the James Beard Foundation. So Natalie, forgive me, I'm going to start off with Marwa, and I wanted you to introduce yourself really quickly, and then we'll let Natalie do the same.
Okay, shall I just introduce myself very quick? Okay, so my name is Marwa. I'm coming from Tunisia, and I'm doing my PhD now in the Arctic University of Norway. I'm working on vaccine formulation and fish immunology on salmon exactly. And my background has been always in aquaculture. Like I had an engineer degree in aquaculture and also a master in aquaculture from Las Palmas, Gran Canaria. And I'm truly honored to be part of this, and I really acknowledge the initiative of the scholarship for women in aquaculture. And really, this will promote females talent in aquaculture. And as I told before when we talked the first time, Jennifer, that it's really hard for women to shine in this field because there is this gender imbalance. And I hope with this, I would be an ambassador actually to kind of promote the gender balance in the area. Why not?
I know, that's exactly right. Well, when we started the program, Alf-Göran Knudsen, who you both know, he's our CEO, fourth generation family farmer, and he is the CEO also of Kvarøy Arctic in the United States. The first thing he said to me when we started to talk about this program is, we need to do more. What more can we do? And I said to him, I said, give it a minute. Let's see how the first scholarship goes, and then we'll see if we can do more. And so we took the applications. Marwa was part of that application process. And then out of the blue, I get an email from Miss Natalie Van Wyck. So Natalie, tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into this juicy conversation.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. My background is in animal science. I studied at the University of Stellenbosch here in South Africa. And upon 4 years of work, I saw that we had a constant drought here in the Northern Cape. We had a cycle of a 7-year drought. And I was just like, we need something else other than livestock production. And I went into research, looked at possibilities in animal production, and thought that aquaculture would actually be perfect for a setting in which I find myself. In terms of marine culture, we have a coastline, and our sector is so small here in South Africa that I really wanted to see what is possible for us here in South Africa. And upon applying and getting accepted, getting my postgraduate diploma in aquaculture at Stellenbosch University, with the help of the Department of Agriculture here in the Northern Cape, I was able to get that. And I've just been trying to get my master's now. And that has been a search because I've been looking for funding for so long, and I've been accepted to various institutions like the University of Stirling and Wageningen University in the Netherlands. But and then I saw on LinkedIn the scholarship program that Kvarøy was doing, and I was just like, yo, and I was 2 weeks late, and then I still tried to reach out, and I was like, what are the chances that I'd be able to just get into the program, even if it's next year? And then I got into contact with you, Jennifer, and it's just been a roller coaster and lovely ride. It's been overwhelming, to say the least, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to form part of this program.
Yes, well, this is really just exactly what we want to be doing. So Natalie connected with Alf-Göran Knudsen, and we made the decision actually to hire Natalie. And she, as we're trying to navigate travel and issues with Corona, she after the first of the year will be moving to Kvarøy, to Indre Kvarøy, and will be working full time on the island and at the farm, and just really diving in with all of the amazing possibilities. And so we're really excited about the fact that we can start to bring this kind of conversation, dialogue to a lot of other areas. I mean, I think that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to talk to you both about today. And for those that are just joining us, this really is such an incredible success story about intention, because, you know, we put out there that we wanted this to be an international offering. It wasn't something we wanted just obviously for the United States. We had more applications for an international scholarship than any James Beard application had ever had, and plus a number of women that had actually reached out specifically from Africa. So I don't know if you know that, but it was just incredible, the response. So Natalie is joining us and obviously is going to be moving and working full time. Marwa is still involved in her studies. You've already been to the farm.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit, because I was so excited that you like immediately embraced being able to go there and visit.
Yeah, it was really exciting. It was a super nice experience, and I was so happy to meet Alf in person and meet all the team at work. And it was really nice. And we took the opportunity also to go and visit the site, and we drove the boat there, and we were at the feeding time, so we had the chance to see everything basically. And yeah, also Alf was super nice, and he took me like for around the island, and I've seen everything there. It's super exciting. I can't really wait to join for the internship.
Well, yeah. and that's the other thing too. I'm so excited. Speaking of the internship, so Hannah Krohn, who obviously is tied up today, is studying ocean anthropology at the University of California, Berkeley. And she wrote an op-ed piece as one of her projects for school. And she was talking about how Whole Foods has basically hidden in their program farmed fish and how bad farmed fish is. And so I made it my mission to try to find her and actually reach out to her and start mentoring her about what we all know, which is that sustainable, ethical aquaculture is such an important part of our food system. She believed me. She has learned so much about it in the meantime and will be with the three of you. So there's going to be a moment in the summer where the three of you will all be working on the farm, working on the island and the offices all at once together. So Hannah, after graduation, she'll just have finished her undergraduate studies at Cal Berkeley. She'll be joining from where she lives in Florida, and then you'll be there, Marwa. You'll be there on your break from school, and Natalie will be there, hopefully thriving, loving our quiet island life with your family there on the farm. Which
I can tell you more later, Natalie, about it in private.
But I feel like I want to get kind of, in the short time that we have together, I want to get into the meat kind of this issue, because both of you have talked to me about the issues of gender inequality in aquaculture. And I mean, this goes beyond, we know that the majority of women that work in aquaculture work in processing, on the processing lines to process the fish. And I want to talk to you about, you've mentioned, like Natalie, you mentioned why it was important to you to be in this field. But Marwa, what were the kinds of things, as you chose this field, that you faced that were so difficult, being a woman particularly?
During my studies, it was not a problem at all, and I couldn't feel that there is any gender imbalance or anything, because we were more females than males in the class, actually, in Tunisia. But what happened afterwards is when I was looking for a job, and then the issue started, because they will prefer to take a male than a female when it comes to work on the farm or on site, or so then the challenge started, and I was just applying and getting rejected and rejected and rejected, and the excuse is just, you are a female, you cannot work in this field. They were super clear about it, like, yes, you are a woman, you cannot really work because you don't have the strength to be working on a farm or doing, we know, like, working on the farm, on the site is not easy also, but yeah, but that was a challenge.
It was an issue of physical strength, they felt.
Yeah, mainly, yes, it was mainly that.
It's just unbelievable. Only 1 to 2% of all of the aquaculture opportunities, 1 to 2% are women. And it's one of these things. I mean, there are executive roles. You're, of course, studying feed models. Natalie, as you were getting out of school, and you and I talked about this, how difficult it was. I want you to talk about physically the distance and the limitations of aquaculture in South Africa, and then add on top of that what you were facing in terms of inequality. And I think, and I know that this also starts to kind of align with racism as well, that there was not only, so you sort of had two strikes against you as you were trying, even with all of the fantastic education you had.
Yeah. In South Africa, our sector is still really small, and our sector there's a conglomerate of the sector in Hermanus, and then there's a conglomerate in Saldanha Bay, which is about a distance and from where I am in Springbok, that to Hermanus, it's about 600 kilometers. And then to Saldanha Bay, it's about 300 possibly. So the distance between sites is really, it's quite a distance that you'd have to, and the amount of infrastructure to reach the sites is also limited because we don't have tarred roads that lead to the site. However, getting out of school, like Marwa said, that it was a different ball game, because when you were applying for work and you were applying to see like what opportunities, I was looking for scholarships, and rejection upon rejection upon rejection. And here in South Africa, the community or the aquaculture sector is still dominated by white people and white males, and as a result, in my work that I do currently, we are establishing a women in aquaculture network in South Africa, and the most females in our sector is in fisheries, and they're trying an artisanal fishing, not commercial fishing, artisanal, in trying to sustain in trying to give sustenance to their family members. I mean, a lot of families here have not got the male figure, and as a result, females and children are left to go fishing and bring in some form of protein into the household. So a lot of what we are struggling with here is, as Jennifer said, it's inequality, not just in terms of male and female, but it is the opportunities available to people of color is not as readily available. And so now we are trying to establish a women in aquaculture network so that we can assist the women on the coast that are trying, or even on the interior that are busy with freshwater aquaculture, or trying to establish, because I mean the capital needed to start a venture like that in our country is really high, and the availability of funds it's not readily available. So we are trying to fix that, in a sense of trying to reach out to outside our country's borders as well, and see if leadership won't give us a chance at fixing what has been clearly a global mistake on.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that the thing that's been very interesting to me is we look at aquaculture as such an important part of our food system and what it's going to be, the inputs that it's going to provide as we reach 10 billion on the planet at 2050. And Marwa, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what you feel like the woman's role is in this, especially since we know that women are the ones that feed communities. And so what is that role that you think aquaculture can play in being able to, and women specifically, in making sure that there's access to these kinds of systems?
Yeah. First, I want to mention something. Like, for example, here in my department, we are all researchers working on fish immunology and fish nutrition, or like all kinds of things that are related to fish. And maybe 80% of us are females. Like, you see only women working on the research and, like in aquaculture especially. But then once it gets to work and being being like really working, then it's only male that have, I don't know why, but it goes better with them. I don't know, this gender imbalance that is happening all over the world in everything, but especially in aquaculture. It's even like not pushing females to go to this exciting field, because then they will think, what can we do? How can we work if we study for 5 or 6 years? I've been studying for now 8 years in aquaculture. And imagine, like, after 8 years, you get rejected because you're a female and you're not a male when applying for a job, Yeah. And
well, I can tell you that's not going to happen. So we already, thanks to Alfguren and the family, we have Ida, his wife, who is an owner in the company, and I told you that our US team is 7 out of 8 female. So, well, that's not happening again.
Yeah.
But I interrupted. Please go ahead.
So what was the question again? So I wanted to mention something.
How important is it that we say that women are leaders with their heart, where men tend to be leaders, cerebral leaders? And because this is such an important part of our food system, how important do you think the role of a woman is in building that?
Well, I think like the role of the woman and of the male, like female or male, is the same in this context. Like in everything, actually, they should work together, and we should not put more pressure or whatever on part of it. But I think as a female, we always do things better. Like we always.
Well, there is that power in the pack.
This is like we do things with our heart, and also we have a brain and heart working at the same time. So I think as a female, we are better in this. So yeah,
Natalie,
that was just a joke.
I mean, one of the things I did want to speak with you both about is the importance of developing aquaculture as a food system in Africa. There are a lot of things happening, particularly whether it's fishery mismanagement, but the role of aquaculture in a food system that will have 4 billion people in it. The weight of the population by 2050. And how do you feel in terms of the impact that you think it can make on the continent? Natalie?
It would change a lot of things. The dynamics of the availability of quality protein sources would make a huge difference in the impoverished communities. Having aquaculture and having the investment to do aquaculture around our coastline. Our coastline is dominated at the moment. We have mining activities on our coastline, but with the amount of available coastline. And I'm just talking about mariculture specifically. It would make, all I can say is it would make a significant difference to the impoverished communities, not just in terms of providing quality protein, but also providing skills to the unemployed youth in our areas, providing people with a morale of something that they can be proud of, and to take it generation to generation in terms of strengthening the country as a whole and the continent as a whole. Because at the moment in Africa, our biggest problem is starvation. We have a problem with a lack of good food, nutritious food. And aquaculture to me, is a system that can provide that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I feel strongly that aquaculture is a system that can provide an adequate source of protein to every single household, no matter what your income status.
And there's so much investment happening. I think that a lot of the NGOs, the Gates Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, see that and are investing in things like RAS systems as well, and tilapia production, a heritage fish where you already have that intention. It's a part of the food system already. Tilapia is a heritage fish of Africa, and how important it is to not just, go there and raise a salmon, which I feel like has happened in Chile, where they're raising a fish that doesn't have a cultural entitlement. Does that make sense? That there is not and the industry is not doing anything to make sure that the fish that's being raised there is going into the community. And I think that that's one of the things that's so incredible about what's happened in Norway, is that you both are living that, and Natalie, you're going to be, is that there already was a cultural narrative around eating more fish and seafood, and specifically eating salmon. Marwa, what have you seen in terms of that balance? Here you have especially at Kvarøy, we know that they were fishers that became farmers out of the necessity of a depleting stock. And you're working on efficiency and systems so that we can make this a very efficient system as we rear more fish that will get better and better. What do you see as sort of the future of aquaculture and the effect that it's going to have?
I think being in Norway is the best place when it comes to aquaculture, because the economy is basically based on salmon farming. And I think you see it here, like everything is with salmon. Like wherever you go, there is always a dish served with salmon. So, and everyone eats fish here, like really everyone, especially now in the darkness time. And I don't know, Natalie, if you will experience that or not, but in this time we have this darkness coming soon. So like everyone just advised you to eat fish, and so I think especially in Norway, like fish is everything, is the basic of everything, actually.
It is. And don't you think that is really important when you talk about it being a contributive part of the food system, is that you already have something that what you're raising, people are used to eating?
I think in Norway here, they are kind of aware of the importance of fish farming. Not for example, if I go to Tunisia now or any other country of the world, they will always be against aquaculture, and you will always hear like aquaculture is not a sustainable way to raise fish, and it's not good, and they prefer to eat wild fish than eating fish from the aquaculture, and all these kind of things. But I think here they are aware that fish is really important, and having a sustainable aquaculture is basic things, like to farm fish.
Isn't it interesting that we're still having that conversation about whether or not we can farm fish well?
It's really weird.
It's really weird. And we were just talking about that here, like what we have some issues that are coming with Patagonia. You all know the Patagonia clothing company, and and the CEO, and they are against particularly the mariculture that Natalie has spoken about. And so I wonder, Natalie, if you were having a conversation with the CEO of Patagonia and you started to talk about what these issues are and what we can do right, what would you tell Yvonne Chenard to convince him that aquaculture is a good thing?
I would tell him, look at the model that Kvarøy is doing. Using lumpsucker fish instead of antibiotics or any other treatments, using, I feel like I should tell these people, please understand that you can use what is in the ocean to maintain a farming system that is sustainable, and that is not going to harm the environment in any other way, because it's part of the environment.
That's
so
right.
that I would try and stress that to them, that there are means of getting the same result without having to harm the environment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Marwa, what about for you? What would you tell Yvonne Chenard?
I think she said everything I would say, to be honest. It just the outcome that is coming from a sustainable aquaculture. I've been reading like through all the things that Kvarøy Arctic is doing actually. And I was really impressed, like, about everything. Like, the omega-3 level that are in the fish are incredible, and the use, as we said, we talked about this GMO algae oil that they are using in Kvarøy Arctic, and the benefit from that. And this is just a sustainable way, and everyone should just see the success that other farms are doing and just copy or try to be better.
Well, yeah. That's the whole thing is I feel like we know there are bad farms out there, just like I always say, just like you can farm chicken well and you can farm chicken badly. We know that there are bad farms out there with bad practices, but we have examples now of good ethical aquaculture, sustainable aquaculture that can serve as a model, and that we're not talking about the bad actors when we talk about growing it. That's not what we want to be supporting. And yes, you're exactly right. When you have a non-GMO algae, you have not everything that's non-GMO that's in the feed model, less marine ingredients. I mean, on and on and on and on and on. Not any antibiotics, chemical free, never ever antibiotics. It's happening. The model is working, but it has to be a balanced ecosystem. And I feel like part of that ecosystem is the social equity, right? Working with a balanced group of people. And what I mean is having a number of different people from the community in order to be able to really grow this and support this as a system. And so next year, we're going to dig in. We're going to make this program even that much stronger. You're barely beginning your journey with us in this Women in Aquaculture journey of Kvarøy Arctic. And, we're going to, so everybody knows, we're going to be hearing from you. You're going to be blogging, taking pictures, talking about what you're doing. But before we wrap up, in the few minutes that we have left, I want to ask each one of you, and starting with Natalie, what can Kvarøy do for next year that will build on this program? What would be your advice?
Wow, Jennifer, Kvarøy has done so much already. And I mean, I would suggest that because not every one of us have a LinkedIn profile, and I found it on LinkedIn. I didn't find it on any other social platform, even though they do have the Facebook page. But that you guys are doing so much already. But I would just say promoting it more on other social platforms, where it is readily available to people that don't make use of LinkedIn as such, but then just spread the word via other social platforms, because already I don't know how you can expand on something that is already working so well, to be honest.
Marwa, what about for you? What can we do to be able to support in this program even further?
I think first the scholarship was like, for example, when I sent a post to my friends in Tunisia, they didn't want to apply because they thought that it's only for people that are already outside of the country, like international, like more, you know what I mean, like not really available for anyone. So I think what I would do is try to decrease the money of the scholarship and maybe divide it more and increase the number of winners, so then we can increase more women involved in the aquaculture scholarship. I would do that.
We just, and Marwa has some amazing things that she wants to do. You've told me study at UC Davis. You've got some very specific once Corona, because UC Davis here in the United States, the University of California, Davis has an incredible aquaculture program. They're doing some very unique things. And Marwa has sort of tucked that money aside to be able to further study, which I'm excited about because it's less.
I really wanted to go, and I was talking with my supervisor, but we don't have funding for that, Marwa. And then when I got the scholarship, I was like, this money is going to the US. I'm going to travel.
Well, it's such a testament to Alf-Göran, because remember I told you that he said we need to do more, and we wanted to do more, but within sort of the parameters of the James Beard Foundation, we could only give out one scholarship, and that's how we made the decision to be able to work with Natalie, to be able to work with Hannah, and so we will do more. And I can say that one of the things that I've learned through this process is that change does not come unless you're pinpoint specific about where you want that change to come from. So we said women in aquaculture. Well, then, of course, in the United States, we've had huge issues, particularly that have really erupted since George Floyd's murder. And one of the things in the conversation that we had was we have to specifically set our intention. For example, a Women in Africa Scholarship Fund, that it will specifically target that. We're working with some new organizations to put some grant money into things like what Natalie talked about in building systems. Because one of the things that I've learned, like in coffee, is that if you teach women how to have a trade and support them financially in that, they give to their communities, to their food system exponentially. And so that's the kind of change that we want to make. We're still stewards of learning and curiosity in this. We look forward to being able to learn and continue this journey with you. I know everybody is excited to see what happens. I'm sorry that you didn't get to meet Hannah today. Got to think that she's probably completely focused on what's going on here in the US, and I'm sure that we'll speak with her at another time. But I want to thank you both for joining me.
I just want to add something, and I'm just hoping that this initiative that you took will just open the views from other companies to support women in aquaculture. I'm really hoping this will happen soon.
Yes, you are. I think that's exactly. We know we're really small. We're humble in this journey, and we know that we can only hope that we're just showing the path of intention and of impact in our way that will inspire others. Thank you both for joining me. Have a great rest of the day and a wonderful weekend. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. We cannot wait to meet you face to face, to have you on the farm, and to be working with both of you soon. Stay well, stay safe, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye.